Get this thing going. We're going to get to it just a second. We're going to get here in just a second. We'll be on here for probably like an hour today. That's a Sunday. I usually don't do Sundays, but I'm doing it today. So we're going to see what we're working with. Let's see what we got. We're going to get into it. See what we're talking about today. Try to get this thing on real quick. Get this thing on. How you doing? What's going on? RB. Thank you for coming through today. It's Sunday and it's kind of like a short notice, but yeah, I'm gonna be on for a while. See if I can get this thing going. Okay, monetization is on. I gotta do this thing again. This is so much fun. Not on my end, it's just a matter of getting everything situated. See what's up today. Hello there, how you doing? What's happening? What's going on? Thank you for coming through today. I am here today. I won't be tomorrow, but I think I'll come through today on a Sunday. I got some free time today. Won't be doing it though. I don't know what that is, and I don't know what that is. And you don't know what that mean in English. Let me get my things situated. I'm trying to get my things situated so I can ask this thing. Yeah, well, yeah. Last day of the season. And I'm getting excited about the postseason, even though I don't know. They strange team. Month and a half ago, they looked like they weren't even gonna make the playoffs, and here they is on the last day, could fool around the division. Strange year, but I'm looking forward to it though. Hey, if they peak at the right time, hey, you know what's going on. Yes, welcome to Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, or Monday morning, or wherever you are in the world. Thank you for coming through. It is also a football day though, but so it all depends on what you're into. But anyway, thank you for coming through. What's up? Oh, I didn't think you would come today. I said I might come today. I'm glad you came. Now today's only for like a little over an hour though. It's a mini day though, because I got to work on some other videos I'm working on. But I did say today, you ain't never lied. You ain't never lied. And all that Juan Soto hype, and they tanked at the worst possible. Baseball is like that though. That's what the Mariners were a trip to me because they were looking like they might not even make it, and they turned around and Houston kept on losing, and that's what ended up happening. So you just never know, especially in baseball. Baseball is the most unpredictable sport of them all. It really is, because you can be hotter than Hades, and then turn around and then lose everything, and then you can fly around and win, and then you be an unsung hero. That's the crazy thing about it. That's what makes baseball so much fun. It's the only sport I can look at that and say that that could happen. It couldn't happen in the NBA, and it couldn't happen in football unless somebody got hurt. So once I get this question up, I'm gonna put it on. Still can't get over the college football yesterday. Alabama beat Georgia. I got a church buddy who loves the Crimson Tide. That is hilarious. You gotta be a college football fan to understand that logic, but that's crazy. Man, Georgia can't beat them to save their lives. I'm gonna have to do a college football one on that. Penn State losing to Oregon is crazy. What you want me to do about that? What do you want me to do about that? If he's your last hope to save your job, you're not going to save your job. The Giants suck, so they got no choice. And then Jameson has got to be on the food chain. If you're a quarterback for the New York Giants or a quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, there's always work at the post office. That's all I got to say about that. Hasta la vista, baby. Because to me, that's the one that became a catchphrase. Remember Jody Watley? Looking for a new love. And Arnold Schwarzenegger them used that. Yeah, because let me tell you a story if you got time. When Odell Beckham Jr. caught that catch, that was all they had after Eli fell off. And then Geno Smith, remember, took over. They fell off bad. That catch kept them relevant. That's how bad they fell off. And ODB was like the Drake of receivers. You remember? Yeah, he was like the Drake of the NFL for a minute. So when Geno Smith takes over for you, you know you fell off the wagon. And that was the start. And Eli was always just because he had incredible postseason runs, but he was just marginal, homogenizing the regular season. So that's what happened. You can't handle truth is probably known, but I still think Hasta La Vista is the one. But you can't handle truth probably the most. Because the only thing about Jack Nichols that's a quote is, "Here's Johnny." That's the one. Let me see if I can get this question up. If it lets me. Things acting all crackhead. Jack Nichols in The Shining. One who flew the The Shining. In The Shining, at his head in the between goes, "Here's Johnny." That was a very memorable line. It's the most used, but I don't really pay them no mind on. I have quotes that you never use, and I don't quote none of them too. So I can get this thing to work. Yep. And Jack Nichols is something else too, because I don't know how much you know about him. He used to get high all the time. So he used to have front court seats at the Los Angeles Laker games, and him and the owner. The story is that the owner thought he looked like him. He got hooked up a long time ago. Jack done some weird stuff. Yeah, but a good actor, very good actor. Pretty much played the same role, but he had movies that I like though. Chinatown is one of my favorites. One Who Flew the Cuckoo's Nest, The Shining, um, Terms of Endearment. He always played that smart, cocky cat. But good actor, good actor, very good. Definitely understood his roles. Well, hey, it's not so much as it's how he acts, but he's pretty smug though. He was good. As a matter of fact, you should go watch it because I'll tell you like this: he would have been the best one had Heath Ledger never came along. That's how great it was. I went to go see the first Batman. Nicholson played that role. In fact, for that Batman movie, he's the one who got Prince hooked up on the soundtrack because he used a couple Prince songs. You know, that's kind of subjective. I can't really get into that because it depends on what we're talking about. There's so many of them. That's a loaded question. And you understand when you ask a question like that, that's pretty loaded because there's a lot of them. That what's the greatest one? There's like a lot of them. See if I can get this thing. It don't seem like it wants to let me do nothing. You have to tell me which one you think because I can't really answer that question. That's kind of loaded. different people have different theories about stuff like that, and it's kind of loaded. Mm, mm. Trying to get this thing right. Think everybody that's here to appreciate everything. Hello, how you doing today? Thank you for coming through. Tell me where you're coming from. I heard of ufologists, but I ain't paid that no attention though. Boy, they actually playing pretty good defense. Pittsburgh is wow. Minnesota might lose, messing with old Carson Wentz. They had a halfway decent quarterback that win that game, but hmm, I don't have no dog in the race. Pretty much at this stage, that's all he's got. You know, but Minnesota is just like going bargain basement for what I don't know. I don't even understand the logic. You know, but like I said, the ability to take a situation and then impose their will, and then to find it like a tennis match where you become the ball and everybody's swinging it back and forth and they're in between it all, but yet you can't say, who's serving and violate because they didn't found a way to be part of something. And then they've played on your fears, but they've also played on your ego. That makes the best manipulation. If I can play on your fears and your ego at the same time, because it's like you got to pay me one way or the other. And there are people who are good at that. So you got to be very careful with that. Probably. I haven't really thought about it. Guess so. I mean, once I get past Jay Jacoby and Nate Newton and Jonathan Ogden, probably. Probably. what I just got through saying. Well, yeah, but it's kind of like being a tennis ball between when you're getting served. You are volleying, and you are in between it, but you don't know which way it's going to go. But you're going to have a say in how it goes. And they find a way to kind of balance being like that ball. Except no one ever knocks the ball out. They have to they volley it. They keep it around, and so then it becomes like you can't even point the finger at them, but they know how to take control of the situation. They keep something on you, and they keep you in the dark, and you get vulnerable. Like I said, you get vulnerable. How you doing? You get vulnerable behind the vulnerable in a strange, twisted way, and people are, you know, it's kind of how it goes. I do. I do. Oh yeah, Boule. There's a lot of different secret societies, Masons, all that. There's a lot of them. I don't go around looking for them, but there's a lot of them. I don't think playing the Saints. You make the call on that one. I ain't got to tell you on that one. You're playing the Saints. It's a tricky proposition because it could be a dangerous game. If I can get this thing on, I will be on here for an hour. That's the plan. See if I can get this thing back. I'm gonna tell you what to take. But if you feel like the bills cover your spirit, then do it. The Broncos, I don't know about the Broncos. They suck. I don't know about the Broncos. I ain't got nothing to say about the Broncos. The Broncos ain't got. I don't trust Bo Nixon. I think their defense is pretty good, but right now they're giving me a legit second tier team in need of a quarterback because they too irregular at quarterback. The Cowboys suck, but who they play today? Oh God, they can't possibly after losing like that. They got to play. Oh, they got to play Green Bay. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna go because Jordan Love is so funny time. I don't know. And Seattle won. They won their they beat Arizona last. So they I forgot who they play. I don't know. Seattle's the only I guess I could say good team out of them three, and that's not saying much. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you on that. I'm kind of stumped. That's a good question you asked me about Bruce Matthews, though. I really don't even pay Matthews, offensive lineman, but he's in there though. He's in it though. He's in there. Most of my favorite, John Hanna. Let's see, John Hanna, Art Shell, uh, Gene Upshaw, um, Nate Newton. Yeah, it'd probably be up in there. Okay. We going to what we gonna do? Bills or Lions. I wouldn't mess with if the Texans can't score 20 points. If they could score 20 points, I'd say them. But they act like they're allergic to scoring 20 points. The Lions are getting scarier. They're getting scarier. Bills should win, but the Lions look scary right now. The Lions look like they could go crazy. They've been balling the last couple weeks. So I don't know. I don't do any of those poll things because I'm, loyal to my team. But just saying. Aaron Rodgers up right now. Okay, what's up? Yeah, I guess. But they're not going to win nothing, though. They're not a good team. The Steelers are not a good team. They're a second tier team that's got all the makings to getting their butt ran out. It's just a matter of time who they play against. They're gonna look better than what they are because the division is well. Joe Burrow's gone. Baltimore got their issues with defense, and Cleveland has no quarterback. So there you go. Now they'll beat New Orleans. So I'm just telling you like what I know. So there you go. Take it how you want to take it. Okay, I'm back now. Well, I mentioned because the whole Bruce Pearl thing. That's why. No, it's not gone. I just had to. I'm sending out stuff. I'm sending out stuff. So be patient. I'm sending out stuff. I'm sending out stuff. Be patient. I'm just sending out stuff. I'm sending out to my different notices. I'm on various platforms. So just so you know, I'm on various platforms. So if people come through, I'm on various platforms because I don't have the tube don't always send out all the messages. So when I'm on live, I have to send it out. That's why you see more people coming through. So I'm getting more views with that. So that's all I'm doing. One day if this channel blows up, and people come through it live, then you be like, yeah, that's what I was doing. So I have to do all my work at once. Yeah, I just mentioned it because of the whole Bruce Pearl thing, and him and Michael Wilbon, and some people getting into all kinds of stuff. Because the more I get it out there, the better. And again, if you like the live stream and you want more live streams, stay in touch with me. That way I'll put out more. Right now I'm doing like 3 a week because I don't want to overdo it unless I know people are gonna come to it. So okay, it's back to normal now. Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and as I tell anybody, if you want to stay in touch with me, find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm on quite a few different spots, so that way if people want to ever do stuff, just holler. Yeah, they don't. They don't. And they do that to other content creators too. So it's just one of those things. But usually, like on a Sunday, this might be the time I come on. Oh, I appreciate that. But if you ever see me on Facebook and you want to friend me on there or Instagram or something, that's one way to stay touch. That's how Charlene keeps up with me. We friends on Facebook. So I put you in, I let you know that I'm coming on. That's just in case if you ever want to reach out like that. Because the people that stay in touch with me, I will definitely. And then, of course, I'm working on videos and stuff. So I got projects working. But I'm on for about an hour today. Probably. I'd like Sunday, like 1 hour. And then I'll come back on Tuesday, probably Tuesday. And we'll see how the week goes after that. So, oh, okay. Well, thank you. Well, yeah, I like that. I like that. And I like what he said too, because, you know, my sentiments. Don't let someone be deceased before you. Everybody gets all into their feelings after the fact. But let's keep it real how you were when you were here. That's cool. I'm glad I'm getting some crew coming through on a Sunday because, again, I usually hadn't done this in the summertime. I'm more occupied. But this is my second straight Sunday coming on, so we'll see. And like I said, I'm also in between working on some videos. I got some future videos I'm working on. So, um, that's a good question. It's a bit unfair because Petrovitz passed. If all things were created equal, it would have been Drazen. And I do like Ginobili a lot. Ginobili is one of the most reckless. The cat's one of the most fearless cats I've seen, but Petrovich had that outside shot. I mean, he was a natural. Whereas Ginobili earned his way to get through the ranks. He was tough and feisty. But Drazen was he was a natural. Well, put it in perspective. Luka Doncic's daddy tells Luka, "You good, but you ain't no Drazen, no Petric." So that should kind of put that in perspective. And if you think Luka's a top 5 player, what would that said about Petric? So, because Drazen was actually for the run he had, he was as scary, or if not scarier than Reggie Miller with an outside J. The Kirk thing is ridiculous because it's almost like it was made up to make it was made to get people riled up. I've got my thoughts and my takes, but I'm not gonna say that on no platforms because they come after you and but I just say that let's just say I'm like what Tupac said, the hate you give, karma doesn't miss you. That's all I gotta say about that. And I said that and I have not changed. You put that kind of energy out, someone is gonna be listening. His words were his words, so that's all I can say about that. I don't condone nobody's situations like the what has transpired. However, you got to be very careful how you say things because sometimes people will take you up on how you projecting. So, what's I'm glad you here. Thank you. I'm glad you because I got something to talk to you about. I got what you said about um yeah. Let me just say this, TSP. Let me get this straight because I was going to address you and I'm gonna do this. Wilt Chamberlain, they changed the offense to limit him. Michael Jordan, they changed the defense to give him more opportunities. That's the difference. And if you ask me personally, Wilt Chamberlain was a million times better than Michael Jordan. As great as Jordan was, Wilt was better because guess what? He did percentages, he could score, he could rebound, and he led the league in assists. They had to change him from being such a dominant offensive player to the shift. That's why Wilt came to him and said that. So we doing individualized. It really ain't that close because they had to like sway the defense down to water it down to make him more viable. And that takes nothing away how great Jordan was. But that's what I'm trying to say. LeBron didn't really benefit from that. He just learned how to shoot a three. That's what saved his butt. It wasn't that gritty because the Knicks were not. What's up? Oh, I'm. It depends on who we talking about. Who your dude is. Oh no, the Knicks weren't the Pistons though. It wasn't that gritty. You know what Oakland they hard foul, but they weren't like the Pistons, and they weren't as talented as the Pistons, and that's a fact because the Knicks mentally were not the same level as the Pistons. They had that one series, and Charles Smith missed all them shots, and they didn't get them in '93, and then they choked in the finals, and Patrick Ewing Fangaro went out in '95. They weren't the Pistons. They had nobody on that team that was seeing Isaiah Thomas, and nobody on that team that could play D up to match what Rodman did. Even though I like Anthony Mason, because I'm sorry to tell you this, you have to kind of stay in touch with me on Facebook or message me or friend on some place. They don't do that, and that's a problem I run into. But I am coming more live on Sundays now, but they don't do that. It's the tube doesn't do. Now, well, Rip Rip was good, but he was a double cheeseburger Whopper version of Reggie Miller. He had that set shot, outside shot, but he, you know, yeah. But then if you say that, he still wasn't touching Russell because Russell was the ultimate mentalist, and he strategically ran a ship with everybody. Yeah, they funny with stuff like that, and they always have been funny like that. I'm not gonna argue that point, but if we're talking individually, Jordan did flourish better. I'm not talking that point. What I say as far as a talent goes, what was better? Jordan got more out of his usage in the runs. There's no question about it. So I'm not arguing that. Oh yeah. Best mid range I ever saw? Oh, there's a few guys. I could make a case for Rick Barry. I could make a case for Bob McAdoo. I could make a case. Uh, there's quite a few guys. Bird too. If Oscar Robertson played today, he would be 30, 10, and 10 and scarier. He'd be like Jokic. That's what he'd be today. Oh, ain't nothing quiet about it. Ain't no quiet about it. Listen, gambling, illegal activity is nothing new. Pettit would be good. It's hard to say though, but he'd be good. I mean, there's quite a few cats from back then that could play today. It's just who they play with, who's their coach, who's in the system, but they could play. For mid range, Mark Price. Stockton would be there and Nash would after, but Mark Price could shoot that thing. Stockton was the best of the three, and Nash was the gambling of the three that because he could do they all had something interesting about him. That's an interesting threesome you got there, but Price could flat out shoot. Nash could, but Nash was scarier as a driver. That left hand, that shimmy, that back, that was where Nash was scariest. Stockton off screens, hit that set shot, top of the free throw line, around the perimeter, and will hit you a shot when you least expect. The difference is that Stockton was like probably the most winded of the less winded, where he wasn't overblown. So we don't know. Because if he let his hair down like the other two, he probably could have averaged 20 plus. If Stockton played as frenzy as Nash, because he controlled great tempo, he had great tempo with the rock. And if he was like Price that got opportunities to score because it wasn't in the offensive scheme of things, the way Jerry Sloan ran his offense, no, he sucked. He should never took the job. Because when Kyrie Irving them say we could do this without a coach, he was dead meet the first day. When you say the greatest agent, what does that mean? Well, he didn't have a chance. And the problem was he was a very good player. I don't even know if he's a super Jeremy Lin. It's the system. His is the strangest. He's the strangest cat because I've never seen a guy that was probably like the sixth or seventh best in his position during the peak of guys get these MVPs. It's uncanny. His career is uncanny. I have never seen anybody and they weren't on steroids or something. I've never seen nobody just morph out like that. Yeah, and the thing is, no one is going to take him over Jason Kidd or Gary Payton, those guys either. Well, Durant had the carte blanche with that. That's why. That's why. All due respect on the food chain, it was about Kevin Durant. He was okay in Dallas. There's questionables about his. Yeah, yeah. Jeremy Lin was an out of body experience. It's almost like you get an experiment in the science lab and you blow up. I don't know about the second in '07, and I still ain't. It's comparable, except Jalen Brunson's problem is that he was playing with somebody like Luka was a ball hog, and obviously they didn't allow the team to shine. You know, but the thing is that Jalen Brunson still looks better than Nash in the postseason with Steve Smith. Depends on who he played for, and is he as quick as SGA? No, SGA be burning, yo. SGA got the stove burning. I like Steve Smith, but I don't know. Yep. Yep. That's kind of how it was out of body. You ever like been in a coma and you woke up, or you ever had to get your wisdom tooth done and you taking a special gel and you kind of were like looking at everything in slow motion and you had out of body, or you were like suddenly you became a pimp and you had two or three girls liking you and you just like, and when you woke up, it's like, wow. And that's kind of how it was. I didn't understand the SGA comment because he doesn't play like that. He had a couple of moves. He had a hard body move. I think Steve Smith would have been more like DeRozan. Because you think about DeRozan in Sacramento and you can stat pad, he'd have been something like that. But he wasn't. He had a shiftiness how he toward his body, but it wasn't like that. But no, ain't nobody like Clay though. No. D'Antoni was an offensive guru. Kobe said that. Just there's two problems with D'Antoni's system: 7-man rotation, which burns your butt out in the second round, which Tibbs just got through doing. It never works. I don't know why a coach would, and but Tibbs ain't D'Antoni. Uh huh. And so you be up there thinking like, wow, yeah, yeah. It's important because you got to have the right system. D'Antoni was great, but he couldn't do nothing in the postseason, just like Don Nelson, just like Tibbs. That style of coaching, and that's why Kobe told James Hart said he doesn't win championships. Remember, he told him that. It's great for MVPs. And let me tell you something: if you a stat padding Eddie and you want to get a big fat payday, he's perfect for you. But if you trying to win a chip, you won't even win a bag of potato chips. 7-man rotation is gonna burn you out. He did when he did have the hunger, but he also had to have the right components of teammates. That took time. Scotty had to be on board, Horace, and they got Rodman. He had to have the right supporting cast too. Everything had to be there though. I never said you act like they changed the game though after the way the Pistons was physical. That's a fact. Wilt Chamberlain was not lying about that. And he was a favorite of David Stern. Things can be true at the same time. It's not like I'm making this up. Shoot. Okay, let me tell you about Nash. Him and Amari Stoudemire, when he before he became a fashion model in New York, did ball in Phoenix. He balled. CP3 with DeAndre Jordan to an extent, Blake Griffin to an extent. To an extent. That's all. Let me y'all go. Y'all move your hands. I ain't sure what will here. Well, Wilt's a very interesting anomaly. He's very interesting. Yeah. And if Clay Thompson don't go off too. Well, that's what they want though. That's what they want. The WNBA is what the NBA don't do. Yeah, David West was nice. I like David West. But CP3 is overrated though. TSP ain't lying about that. He's a bit much. He been around 30 years and they still trying to find a team for him and he ticks off everywhere he goes and it's too much. Well, T Mac is just that there's a guys like him. It's like Vince Carter. And talent is there, but Sean Marion with that ugly shot. Sean Marion. But Sean Marion was good though with Phoenix. Yeah, well, I can't really say that Nash made him. Can't really say he had a hand in it. Again, D'Antoni's system was effective. It was very effective. He did. He won with the Rockets with Olajuwon in '95. And he was very big against Penny. They had no answer for him. He played out his mind in that finals. He went to 3 finals in his career, and he had a great career. Jordan told him, he said, you need to kind of kiss up a bit or kind of play the game to get because Drexler respected him. Yep. Well, Tiny was a different type of point guard too. He utilized his components. CP3 got caught trying to be a scorer too. Nash couldn't play no defense, and he got caught in no man's land. So pockets got picked. CP3's problem is that he was almost considered an MVP candidate, and he was kind of like this. He got this kind of star treatment, so he kind of got seduced by it. Tiny never got that kind of, being New York folk, but he never got like that. These cats come along with a different agenda, and Nash benefited from playing in a system that and then they had all they were in a zone, but it's like I said before, different cats, different systems, you get different results. But Nash was a forerunner to what ended up happening in Golden State though. Well, he still got the 3 finals. I don't care where it was. I'll never put him above no Dwayne Wade. Now, this is where we disagree. Dwayne Wade in '06 alone, Clyde ain't never balled out like D Wade did. Not the first couple of years in Miami. Talent wise. But to come through, Wade got him beat. He sure did. He had an old man's Jerry curl and everything. Old man. Now, the oldest NBA player I ever saw was Greg Oden. Greg Oden looked like an old man. Greg Oden looked like he was 78 when he was 28. That's an old man right there, Greg Oden. That man looked, he had an old man mustache. He had a 44-year-old mustache as a rookie. He was playing Ohio State blocking shots. He was like, good old. That man, he don't try to. Nash is above him because of the MVPs, and he's done a bit more. But if you combine the two together like peanut butter and jelly, you'd have a top. If you gave them the best of what they could do and you roll into one, probably like top 6 or 7 point guard ever. You just discovered that. The fact that Turkey got a job, he has to have a videotape on somebody. I don't know who would be crazy enough to keep him a job. No, he didn't have the mindset. Oh, Pittsburgh's gonna win that game. He didn't have the mindset, and he played with y'all and them. He just didn't have freaky athletic, and the West Coast version of ILVI, but with the East Coast mindset, had handles too. I remember. Well, that 91 thing was just. I remember because Magic threw the ball down. No, Dwayne Wade got robbed out of an MVP in 2010. He had the same exact stats as Steph Curry with a 30-point and he was top five. And the run in '05, we got hurt. His rookie year was tight. And obviously '06, his window was there. Oh God, this is an ugly three. Oh, this is ugly. Oh, this is brutal. Oh, oh. I gotta start Andrew Bynum. I gotta bench Herbert, and then I gotta cut and DeAndre, and it sucks. That's brutal. Those are three brutals. That's what I'm saying. Without being a 3 point shooter like Steph, but the same average. And that's part of his run. So if you go from '04 to 2010, and he was still considered top five up to 2011, and his run was legit. And for most people, including Scottie Pippen, they were battling who was second best out of him and Kobe. So I will always defend D Wade. You can diss D Wade on the personal side. On the court, he legit. Wade was a better shot blocker. Athletic was Drexler, but he couldn't lead a team on his back. I never felt he was the same. I never felt him like I did D Wade. And I like Drexler. Drexler was my favorite because I'm chilling. Now, don't say nothing stupid so you don't get taken off. I like to be comfortable. I don't consider rocking nobody's jersey. Nobody really. I don't know whose jersey I want to rock. That's a tough statement because I don't really. Oh, so if you put D Wade with the Pistons, with the Wallace boys, oh, he's going to win. He's going to win. His style would have worked really well in Detroit. So I have to call cap on that. The Bulls with Ben Gordon and all that, probably not. But with that Pistons team, oh yeah. Oh yeah, because he's long and lean and with Tayshaun, because the Pistons didn't have no answer for him, if you remember. So no. It amounted to he left a lasting impact on me. Yes. Well, that was in college. He got hurt in '05. They were getting ready to beat the Pistons in '05. He almost had back-to-back finals runs. That's what I championed Dwayne Wade. He was a handful, and he was MVP consideration. You could make the case. Like I said before, it's not fashionable to like him. That's what I was saying. I never think about. Not no more. I don't. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. They were Okay, to 2000 Pistons, they underachieved. They got to two straight finals, but considering all the Eastern Conference dominance they had, they didn't dominate like they could have. They could have been better. They were tough, but they kind of shortchanged themselves. I don't know. Shaq told Wade how to be patient, but Wade was a different mindset. I mean, he had something in him. Pistons knew how to get. They knew what to do. Oh God, you really digging on the bottom here. Um, Shaq was instrumental, but I don't know about teaching. I don't know. Starting. Well, Glenn Rice starts, and then you have to bench Luol Deng and cut Tayshaun Prince because Tayshaun was mainly a one trick pony. I mean, he was good for what he did, but Glenn Rice Deng. The Pistons just underachieved though, and they got once they got Antonio McDyess, that wasn't a smart move. Lisa Stansfield. I like CC's first record the best, and I think I like a cut on the third record. But Stansfield had it going. I did like that. You can't deny that was a catchy cut. The Pistons should have got more run out of what they got. I'll say this about Shaq: he did subtly with the role with the others. He did have an impact with the others because the others benefited from understanding cadence with him. They were in sync. Well, Ori did go off in that one game. I ain't gonna lie about that. You play with a great player like that, there's certain things that rub off on you because he didn't get no money from Detroit. That's why, and he went for the bag. Shaq always talked about the others, and those that's how great players when you don't see it. Yep. Listen, they both were great, and this is why I have Wade tied with Kobe for my second all time greatest two guard because he with the right personnel along him, he would flourish. You're making my point on that. And it complimented. They were underrated 1-2 punch. They were underrated at 1-2 punch because it was another dynamic duo. I'm gonna take the cure different ways. Yeah, and Shaq could have. They'd had Eastern Western Conference MVP. He'd have won MVP. But you can also they didn't underachieve. They got old. They got old. Zoe and them and Gary Payton and Jay, they got old. Shaq got old too. Well, yeah, Vince was the guy. They were hurt in '05, but Shaq got old. And then they didn't have the right pieces afterwards too. Vince Carter was the dude we all thought was gonna be that dude. No excuses. 2011. No, I'm gonna tell you 2011. Let me tell you about 2011. Let me address that. I got him tied with Kobe for me because I think that if you keep him with the right personnel, he got the same runs of runs. But he had LeBron, he got that, he got the right personnel because his defense to me was just as great as Kobe's offense. That's just my personal opinion. And even Scottie Pippen said he was nip and tuck with both of them. But Wade didn't choke in 2011. But what happened was his arrogance got the best of him. They was trying to make it look LeBron. LeBron was the one that was lost. 2013, he got old. He looked old and busted, and that's when LeBron belted. But 2014, that's when LeBron left him. That's the one. 2011, he would have been MVP if he'd won that finals. He was the best player on the team. Kobe was embarrassing in 2004, but that's for a lot of reasons. Probably all three of those guys for different reasons. Beasley was the most frustrating. Yeah, he did, and he did do stuff. That's a good, interesting case that you make about Vince Carter. It's true. A lot of people don't understand how great he was. I mean, but he's a cautionary tale when you don't finish nothing. Skill set off the yang, scary, scary. Yeah, he did, and he did it on purpose too. And that's one of the problems with Kobe too. Why I hope I got against him because I seen him do stuff like that. You can't tell him, but okay. No, he didn't choke. He didn't. We disagree about that. 2011, he would have been the Finals MVP. 2014, he looked old, and then he actually retired. Where I thought he still had a couple years left in him. That's interesting. The Chicago Cleveland thing was like a bad nightmare. So no. Yeah, he probably was the closest thing. And believe me, let me put these D Wade haters in place. Every time somebody has something, they compare him to D Wade. Donovan Mitchell, part of Anthony Edwards. D Wade gets his love. So for the haters who be out there, the folks who really be watching, oh, D Wade gets his love. People remember. Rose is just that tears that stupid letting him play late in that fourth quarter and then meaningless minutes against Philly, and he never was the same. It took him about 2 or 3 years just to get his groove back. Let alone with his brother and outside influences. We lost Derrick Rose before we should have, but he could have been because he reminded me of him. All them the way he could contort his body in the lane, 10 foot, 8 foot. He was very creative with his shots, and he could take you on his back. Problem with D Rose, he was hard headed. Should have been trying to get a Carmelo. Sarah McLaughlin, that one. About two. Two. Well, that's your opinion. They had him in Rondo. And it was interesting, that playoff run. And the guys got, they just didn't come to fruition. But he looked okay in Chicago. The Cleveland thing was like a joke. It's kind of like John Starks in Chicago. It just didn't fit right, or in Utah. So I am not touching all that. I'm not touching that. I don't talk about his personal life. I'm strictly about him on the court. I'm a D Wade about the player. Because anything in Hollywood, when you start talking about Hollywood folks, anything could be anything. But as a basketball player, you know, Tim Hardaway won. Billups gonna get two in Rondo, but that's not fair though. Yep. Now nothing will be that bad. Or in Seattle. Or part of me wants to say Jordan in Washington because I like Chauncey, but he ain't no Tim Hardaway had skills that Rondo's one of my favorites. I like Chauncey, but he ain't better than those guys. She a nice looking chick when she's cleaned up, but I don't really pay a lot of attention. I'm gonna go with Faith No More. I told you I got him tied for second with Kobe. That's my personal opinion. Y'all can debate all y'all want. That's just me. Yep. We look at different things. It's cool. We ain't gotta agree on everything. That's why we come in here and have nice debates and a conversation. It makes the world go around. The only problem with Jerry West is that he had better talent around him. He could score. I will tell you, he was a heck of a scorer, and he could flat out play. But he had more talent overall. They didn't get the job done. That's how history's gonna kind of look at him. Um, what about Penny? I love Penny. I was a Penny fan. Prime with Penny, he got hurt, and that took a lot out of him. He had more talent that he played with. I didn't say he was gonna beat them. I said Jerry West had more talent that he had surrounding him. That's what I was addressing. Yeah, but I hate to even say it like that because that just it's like by default. And I thought of him a lot better than that. He just got hurt. Well, I'll tell you this: he made the free throws, and I will tell you this: Shaq made the two clutch free throws with a minute 30 to go in that game. That Dirk missed the two, so we can go there. And my memory is very good to remember. I like to bring that one up because Dirk missed those two free throws. And Dallas was up by what, 5 or 6 points back then when 5 or 6 point lead with 5 minutes to go in the game meant something? No, D Wade made shots, yo. He was clutch. He could flat out play. Acting like, yeah, I mean, Wade could bring it, yo. Shoot. I always gotta, yeah, they sure do. I don't. Shoot, I watched the finals. I remember it. And no excuses for Dallas not winning that series. Wade could have been on fire. You still got a water hose. You still got a fire hydrant. Whatever. Oh God, you really dig in here. And all three of these guys I like for different reasons. Skittles was cool and flurries. Ben Gordon in the second half was known as fourth quarter Jordan. And Bobby Jackson off the bench was scarier than Mike Bibby. So I gotta say, that's how I look at it. That was one of the greatest moves ever. I don't think he got lazy like Shaq. I just think he didn't have no help, and he took and a lot of stuff didn't work out for him. LeBron sucked in that first finals against Dallas, and Wade was the best player that first year. I don't look at Wade. I think his legs was hurting him, and I think that his body was taking his toll. But they didn't. They missed out on his peak and his prime with help. You know, I think if he has the help, you see the results. That's why I say his career is comparable to Kobe's like that. When he got the right piece, he was a threat. Shaq got hurt too. And give credit to the Pistons because she was zoning really well in game 7. That's one of the reasons why Stan Van Gundy got fired too. Because at game 7 in Miami, they got a hustle. Yeah, I know. I see it, Shaq got old. And actually, Alonzo Mourning was a good fit off the bench for Miami in that finals too. So, but Wade had an upside to him though. So that's all I'm trying to say. The only thing I'm gonna say, because I'm not gonna make no excuses, even though I'm a big Wade fan, is this: he never learned how to properly shoot a three ball. That's pretty much the biggest knock I got against him on his offensive arsenal. Had he had more of a 3 point to his repertoire, I don't think we having this discussion. I don't think we having this discussion because then he'd been a 25 to 30 point man, and he was a big time scorer. Injuries was huge. His biggest injuries when he came from college, because that's what set him back. Dwayne Wade, because Worthy was great, athletic, better. Had that triple double, I know, in the game 7, but Worthy was never that dude that he was third option with the Lakers. He never was that first. Which guy has lost it? Which guy has lost it? Tell me who. Dwayne Wade was better longer than Bill Walton was. Even though Bill Walton was scary though. Yes, I did. I respect that. I saw Bill Walton, and Bill Walton was great with the Blazers, and then he got hurt, and then he went to the San Diego Clippers, who used to be the Buffalo Braves, which broke my heart. And then he came back with the Celtics years later, and he went to Saudi Arabia and almost was forgotten. And stat wise, he was almost like, a guy that coulda, woulda, shoulda. And he did have a great run, but that's not comparable to Dwayne Wade. But for his window, yes. And had he stayed healthy, career wise, he'd been top five, top 6 point center ever. Had he stayed healthy, but it wasn't in the cards. And I'm trying hard. Who can I compare Bill Walton's career with? Because it's I'm trying to think of who came like that, and it just kind of flashed as soon, you know. But it's not the same. It's not the same. Dwayne Wade was better longer duration of his career than Walton was. No, I can't agree with that because I like Jamal Wilkes a lot, but Jamal Wilkes was never leading no team like that. And James Worthy had a postseason run that was nice, but he wasn't leading the Lakers like that. I'm trying to think of a baseball player. There was somebody I wanted to think of that's who Bill Walton reminded me of. It's kind of like if you combine Mike Trout's career with Kirk Gibson's postseason. Yeah, it's all subjective, and people get it's a good debate. Me and TSP are cool. We just different on most of them are pretty cocky though, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on. Wade is one of the most disrespected cats. And I think a lot is because people be looking at what happened on the off the court. I think that's what it's about. Because of his resume and his numbers say, hey, he belongs in the conversation with the top tier all time. So, well, I ain't worried about it because that's Jefferson that's gonna have to be stuck with Carson Wentz. And who was stupid enough to keep giving him opportunity? I don't know. He's got a video out on somebody. That's all I can say. I don't know if I'd say that. I got to think about that. The best Shaq teammate? As a co-star, I'd probably say Rick Fox. I haven't really thought about Don Staley like that, but you know what? Success is no different than Pat Summit. You know how it goes. Yeah, Rick Fox, because of the styling, because he was the guy. It's always the others. It sounds crazy to say that, but he was instrumental in his defense. Remember, Peja Stojakovic was considered a top 6 or 7 for MVP voting. So that's why I'm saying Rick Fox don't get his due. And Kobe was close to Fox too. Fox underappreciated. I think it's the El DeBarge hairs why turkeys don't give him his love. Maybe so. I don't know. How is he sorry the guy could play defense? That's why they got him for the Lakers got him from Boston. He could actually defend. He defended the perimeter. If you must know in that game 7, how about his defense on Doug Christie? I ain't talking about when he took the jaw punches, but I'm talking about the defense that he did. And on Pager too. It was the others. See, let me give you an example about LeBron James. The best teammate he ever had was Chris Bosh because he did all the dirty work. It's the ones that you don't see. Everybody looks at the sidekick and go, ooh, ooh. It's the guy who does the dirty work. That's what you need. And he did enough of the dirty work. That's the guy that came up big. Like Mike Miller. Mike Miller when the Heat won the chip against OKC. I'm saying I think Rick Fox. Or he hit big shots. But Fox did the dirt. Fox was the link for Shaq and Kobe, if you must know. Because he guarded the perimeter and he also played his role. It's the little things that you don't see. If I'm going by that logic, I probably would say Derek Fisher too, but I gotta give Fox just the edge. He was consistency and he worked with Phil's system. I didn't say you're misconstruing. You asked me who's the teammate. I'm not taking the guy as far as the talent. I'm talking about a guy when you say teammates. There's guys that do things that are subtle. Let me give you an example. Why do you think Draymond Green gets so much love with Golden State? He's not better than Durant or Clay, but he was the dude that complimented Steph Curry's styling. That's what I'm going at it. I have to look at the others. That's where we get into the others. It's not just based on that, it's others. Well, I'm telling you the little dirt that he did on the perimeter. That's all I'm going by. I know that they the best too. You know. Yeah. Except Ori was streaky. He came up big in the finals and of course against Sacramento, but he could be streaky. And remember, they did let him go. I'm just saying, they let him go to San Antonio. They weren't weak. They were perfect for Phil Jackson's system. That's where you're wrong. Rick Fox was the defense, offense was perfect. D Fish did what did D Fish do in OKC in Utah? But in Phil's system, they didn't have to. D Fish looked good to be a starter, and he hit arguably him and Ori hit two of the most important shots. Better play and a better teammate's two different things. Better player for the Lakers? I'm gonna say Rick Fox. Because Lamar got benched to the third wheel, and that's when they brought in Paul Gasol. They tried the Jordan Kobe, they tried the Jordan Pippen thing and it didn't work. He had others though. I think Glenn Rice was the X factor on that team. And if Glenn Rice had to stuck, but Glenn Rice's wife got in the way, and he ended up get thrown off the team. You were right because the Glenn Rice move was the one that put them over. That's how they ended up being a six. That was what motivated them almost winning 70 games. And they never had another team like that again. Just as beautiful as Lottie Divac, Chris Webber, and Mike Bibby, huh? Or Pager. Because to me, Sacramento had the best passings I saw. Yeah, and it was Fred Hickman who used to work for CNN who picked Allen Iverson a year, and Shaq's still mad to this day. Shaq still be looking at Fred Hickman like he want to beat him up. Anyway, we can, because he didn't want to listen. Most of these cats come in and they think they got the game wrapped up, and then they come on, and then you know, and you got to be willing to. They were well. Did Aaron Rodgers do much in the game, or was it Minnesota just stink it up? I'll watch the low lights. I'm not shocked though, but I thought Aaron would go over there and throw about 5 picks though. Yeah, we ain't got no quarterback. Harper and Kobe were legit in the back. They're not solid. They get by default. When you say solid, you up here acting like because they're flexing in a whack division. Well, that's see. Burrows is hurt. He could still play defense though, and he could still do the. He could still come off and make a few shots. Harp could still do a few things. Um, Cleveland sucks with no quarterback. Their defense is legit, but their offense. So, and I can't tell you about Baltimore. He was Ron Harper with Cleveland was a beast. Yep. TSP is making all the sense with that. That's true. You stop looking at him to be something he was. He could still do it. No, he had to understand his job as far as scoring a certain amount of points, but defending and then doing other things that didn't always come on the box set. He was a great fit for the Lakers. TSP is right on that one. There's no argument there. He fit great with the Lakers. His defense, his ability, his agility, he was a good fit. He wasn't just a role player, he was an important part. If he can stay healthy. Can the cat play more than 45 games? They defended really well. They definitely defended. Wemby is the guy. He's got to get his body tuned. They need the right point guard. Makes no difference. Robert Ory was a role player, and you saw how big he came up. You act like role players in the postseason. It's called money time, yo. That's when you eat. That's why he got the job. Yeah, I'm with TSP on that one. Postseason, this is like okay, baseball, pinch hitters. That's where guys eat and feast. That's how you make your name. You come clutch. Okay, special teams and football. Role players are huge in the postseason. In fact, they can fool around and be MVP, especially in baseball. In basketball, it's huge. Yep. If you don't have the right pieces around you, it can look bad. That's all he had to do. Devin George was probably the most athletic cat on that early Laker run to me, but he was mentally just spaghetti. He was strings. Shannon Brown was definitely had some spring in him, but he was just streaky. And again, it's kind of like I've seen cats like that. They look great in certain spots, but then they really are third tierish. He didn't have to. It was already came up when he needed to. I will say this about Steven Jackson. Had he not been so hard headed and Popovich not be hard headed, I think the Spurs probably win another ring or two in the OOs. They missed the having a small guard, a small forward. That was a ring that was lost back then. His passing was incredible. His strength, his ability, he was something else. I don't think we will. Yeah, I'm not gonna let no one disrespect Will Smith, Robert Horry. Shoot, Robert Horry was clutch, yo. Shoot. You kidding me? Again, that's why money time, you need those guys. In the postseason, he was great. And you need to have guys like that. That's what postseason is about. You think that it's all about the big players? No. Sometimes a cat that you don't expect can come up huge. Look at Nick Foles being a Super Bowl MVP for the Philadelphia Eagles. Think about it. Be so quick to judge certain people. Ori was the truth, y'all. And what's your point? Well, I like Mitch Richmond. I like Mitch. Mitch, I liked. No, he wasn't lucky because you have to be clutch. John Taylor is a great sidekick. And you know what? John Taylor never said anything bad about Jerry Rice. He's the anti Scottie Pippen, the anti Gary, the anti Chris Carter. What's happening? How you doing? I said in the postseason, I never said he had a great NBA career, but I tell you one thing, Robert Ory was clutch. I guess you could say, well, if you're talking about in the postseason, if you're talking about in a playoff, yeah. If you're talking about overall postseason, no. But Kerr came in with some big shots, though. He was a big time guy, and that's usually the guys who end up being coaches too. Cats just like that. It's like they got Forrest Gump situations. The Nuggets, I remember that thing like yesterday. I like Chris Bosh better. He was contributing factor, and he got a couple rings. And I'm not getting into the whole ring argument and all that. Bosh was better, but no. Let me adjust this right here. What you got upset about is that we talking about role players in the postseason. That's what you'll be in a bonnet. That's all. And again, you don't always have to be the superstars that come up in the postseason. It's the others that Shaq. Yep. Because if a guy scores 50 points and you happen to hit those two, you know, again, it all matters as far as the team. We debate who's better and all that, but it's a team. So that's what it comes down to. You're reaching for something completely different than what we're talking about. I know what TSP was talking about. And Devin Booker been to one finals. And he didn't really do much in that finals. Beyond game two. We're just talking about how, when you're leading a team and you got others that come up big. That's all. Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that. It's true. But what you want, a cookie for that? I'm taking Mitch Richmond. Mitch Mitch just didn't have the right squad with consistency. He played because if Carmelo played like that, he should have kept his butt in Denver. And Devin Booker is like Paul George to me. They both broke Kobe versions. Should have been better, and he's just a settler. And I don't see another finals coming his way. And he's frustrating. I like Mitch Richmond a lot. Melo would have, if he'd have stayed in Denver. Yeah, but you know, there's a lot of that goes on, and you like I said, you watching the ball, you'll see some cats who coulda, shoulda been. You can make a whole 12 man of the coulda, shoulda. Yeah, TSP, we'll be hollering on Instagram. Appreciate you always, man, and I love your videos. Check out his channel. He got some real good live stuff. I'm huge on TSP. That's what I'm talking about. Mitch could flat out ball. He could flat out ball. And I'm glad he got the ring with Shaq and Kobe, but he could flat out ball. He just played in Saudi Arabia. There was no barely cable. There was no social media. He one of them dudes that, did the W Rob Collar the MVP? I don't know what that means. But just saying. That's a good question. I prefer the women's game actually. To me, no, no, um, no. I think the men's is the 64. That gets exciting, but the women's is more interesting to me. I think the men's college because after everybody went out straight to high school, it's not been the same. And I got no problem with it, but it doesn't really do a lot for me. I think men's college basketball's peak was like the 60s till about early 90s. Okay, okay. Um, it's debatable, but Aja Wilson doesn't get no love nowhere else. So it's hard to argue against it because does she get love like she should? No. And everybody knows Aja Wilson is the best player in the WNBA. So there's politics and everything. And probably some people can't say Nafiza can't say her name, so that could work against you too. If your name is too long, look at Giannis. I mean, I'm just saying, some people ain't gonna never have that jersey walking down your street. Just saying. Okay. Wow, we've been talking so long. I've been on like an hour and a half. I didn't even realize it. It's a good live stream too. Been very heated, very debated. I like it. Nice opinionated. I got to work on some videos though. Appreciate everybody letting me know about that ugly game in Ireland. Boy, I got to watch the lowlights of that mess. It's okay. Him and Jokic and SGA are the three best players going in the NBA, and you can rank them however you want. Those are the three, and after that, it's debatable. Those are the three I start with: SGA, Giannis, and Jokic. And after that, it's debatable who's fourth and fifth. I don't know. And to be honest with you, I really don't care. Well, Tarasi was bad, you know. I'm not gonna really again, you know, he's finished as a player. What you mean as a perimeter? He's finished. Shoot, how many times we gonna keep talking about the process? That turkey don't come back. Yeah, well, Audra Miller's bad. I'll tell you, Audra Miller's like a female version of Dave Robinson Elijah to me. She got the shake, she can move, she can play. And she accomplished everything. So I mean, she doesn't get popular vote though. That's the thing. She ain't as popular. But as far as the playing, she's. Yeah, Embiid is done. He should consider just go ahead and retire and still stealing money at this stage. That's how I look at it. Yeah, again, you're seeing the it's a lot of politics involved. It's always been that way with the WNBA though, because I remember when Cheryl Swoop came out and whatchamacallit, Cynthia Cooper was winning all the stuff, but they were all about Cheryl Swoops. It's nothing new than Lisa Leslie had it. They do this all the time. Yeah. That's how Brittany Griner bully ball. I like I said before, it's all just subjective. It really is. But you do know WNBA wanted Caitlin Clark and they wanted Angel Reese to be the mad bird and mad. They wanted something to, so they didn't get what they want. That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay. For some real good conversation today. So appreciate when it comes through. Because she's not likable. And it feels like it's a push, like a Taylor Swift. It feels like we gotta have a Snow Princess, like we need Snow White, and it's not done authentic. That's why. It's one thing if you are actually playing great and you become people's champions. Another one, it feels like it's forced on you. I don't know what they do. I think they trying to, they don't want it to come across too soft, which it never does. Caitlin's easy not to like. I hope she does well. I just don't want it to be great white hype. That's all. I think that's what some people are, even white people, like. Is it great white hype? Because that's what it feels like. If you want it in a nutshell, you want real talk. That's what it feels like. Because it is wrong racial lines. You know, she ain't done nothing for the game. She ain't done nothing for the game. Tarasi did stuff for the game. Sue Bird did stuff for the game. She ain't done them for the game. She just come along and shoot logo threes. So does Trey Young. Is Trey Young Steph Curry or is he a junior whopper? I mean, when you say does for the game, you're talking about money. You ain't talking about the game. Stats. But did her team win anything? Stats. Did she win anything? See, that's the problem in a nutshell. And the hype is so deep, but she ain't won nothing. Well, she's got the hype. But so does Angel Reese, So I mean, I'm not with I like I said before, I didn't seen this story before. I've seen this story before, and I've seen it better. What's happening? How you doing? I'm getting ready to get off in about. You came on kind of late today. I got about 10 more minutes before I roll. But thank you for coming through. I've been on for an hour and a half. Done a chunk today. But thank you for coming through though. I think it's because of the hype and what she does as a player. It's not that no one says she can't play. It's just like it's a bit much. And she's not a likable character. But that's got to do with the fact that she talks a bit, but she's a 3-point shooter. But it's not transcending to winning. She didn't win in college, and it's coming over to this. Let me read this real quick. OG the preacher was acting like he does not want to stop preaching, and you know how that goes. Mm-hmm. Yep. When I say it doesn't matter, I'm talking about if your talent is good, you should be able to, you know, you can be white and be great without it feeling like it's being put on. Let me give you an example. Look at Tom Brady. Now you can sit and say what you want, but he was great. Larry Bird was great. They earned it. It's a big difference when someone like Taylor Swift is kind of feathery and she's not the best at what she does. And Caitlin's not the best at what they do. Oh Lord. Dang. So, that's what we talk about it. if you got the goods. If you got the goods. Mm-hmm. Oh, it's business now. I mean, ministers now make sure that it's business. It's like going to see the doctor or your lawyer. They ain't just gonna go do it with you. I got an interesting story about that. We went to go see a minister. There was a guy who was autistic, and the minister was terrified, and it was a trip. So it's a different ball game now. Dang, Carson Wentz trying to make a comeback. Wow. Well, they doubt that's good for his stats. That'll buy him another week of quarterbacking. They're gonna lose the game though, unless Pittsburgh does something stupid. She hasn't been great. She ain't won nothing. She ain't no threat. Okay, I understand that. LeBron came out of high school to the NBA. Big difference. Caitlin Clark was in playing college ball. She doesn't compare to LeBron. So please, there's the big difference. And he came with logos and designs, but he earned his way over time. His stats, his longevity, his play. Caitlin Clark ain't that. But we'll see. Ask me 2, 3 years, 4 years, we'll see. Because her team didn't win nothing. She ain't won. She ain't been to a finals. Okay? That's the bar. Stats is nice, but she ain't won nothing. Angel Reese won, and they hate Angel. So they this is why it's problematic. This is how it becomes racial because you got one who actually won, and y'all hating. Well, LeBron James first night against Sacramento made a statement, and he got to the finals, and he was a factor. So when Caitlin Clark can have a run of being dominant, healthy, championships, etc., then wait, let me know. There's a big difference. And it's not fair to compare. So that's all I'm saying. Ain't about what they should have done. They beat you. Sure. She lost. She got to take two L's. Let's just see if she can turn on in a professional career. But I think what people are tired of is like this MAGA. It's like an agenda to push her down people's throat. That's the problem. I don't know about that. I'm sure there's some man who did it too. But this is the thing, you gotta win. That's how people do it. We don't catch feelings, you catch W's, okay? Um, Most colleges do. SC did. They had some of the greatest running backs ever. All of them benefit from having a name brand. I'm not a big on her though, so you're not winning no points with me on that. I want to see her career turn out, and I want to hear all the hype. That's all I gotta say about that. Not finished, but they're gonna be lucky to get like the Fruit of the Loom Bowl. They're not a good team, but no, I'm pulling for him because of everything he's done. 2-3, not 1-3. They 2-3. Just don't have enough defense and missing plays. That's the problem. Still got a chance to get a bowl. Just got to win 6 games. but just not legitimate in the big picture though. Georgia can't beat them to save their lives. If Georgia didn't have to play Bama, they'd probably be like on some old UCLA run of basketball, or because that Bama, no matter in Bama right now, is third tier is second tier is third tier is team, and they still can't beat them. No, Bama's not a top tier team. They're top tier. They're enough to be in the running. They're not better than Ohio State. Let's not get it twisted. They're not. Bama might be Final Four, 5 or 6. They're not where they were, but they know how to win. They got them. They got Georgia's number. Sometimes you just got a team that got your number. But let's not get it twisted. That ain't the Bama of Nick Saban. I don't think they're that good. I don't think they're that team. Okay. Appreciate you. Yeah, I'm tripping because Penn State lost early. They usually don't lose till like week 10. Because baseball is a different animal. Baseball is a different, and it wasn't his fault they didn't win against the Angels. The Giants choked away that last inning. It wasn't his fault. He played out his mind in 02. Baseball's a different, but we don't talk about baseball like we do other sports. Okay? When you're making this kind of argument, it's not the same as the NBA or basketball. You can be the GOAT and never win in baseball. We don't even talk about who's got rings like that. We talk about the teams. We don't talk about the individuals. Oh, they fire him. They better have something. Then how do you fire a guy who just delivered you a Heisman Trophy winner and they got in a bowl game? Dang. Woo. Pittsburgh sucks. That right there tells you what I was saying. These two teams are horrible. Dang. There's no devil's advocate because baseball is not the same. Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know. If Jordan Love don't play no offense, yeah. But if Jordan Love is halfway legit, Cowboys suck. I'm sorry, but Russell Wilson almost got another deal, and Caleb Williams got his chest out like he's Popeye. So I don't know about that. I don't know. They suck. Their defense is horrible. And Dak couldn't even stat pad last week. So I don't know. No CD Lamb too? I don't know. What you gonna do? Michael Irvin, you better go try to get him to just suit it up. Get him out the old folks home so you won't play. They suck. No, baseball is different. We don't look at rings in baseball the same. We don't. Baseball doesn't have that same criteria. Football only at the quarterbacks to an extent. That ain't enough for y'all. That ain't enough. He dropped balls too. Remember that ball ricocheted off his hand. He can't be top 5 now. And also the problem with his situation is he should have been where Tom Brady is. He should have been the Tom Brady. He should have been 7-3. He had all them runs, and he stacked teams, and he had a whacker conference, and he didn't get the job done. He never figured it out. It's not, no. Not to me, he can't be. And I think the longer he plays, it looks worse for him, actually. That's why he should seriously consider retiring now. The longer he sticks around, the worse it looks more like he just stat padding because he can't realistically begin to think that he's GOAT material when he's just, and the teams that you get rid of coaches and you're getting pieces, and it's just not looking good for him. I got him behind Curry. So 10, 11. I'm a black man, and all you gotta do is look at Jesse Owens when he won the games in '36. That's how I feel about Hitler. Hitler evil. He's smart for what he did, but he was a sellout. He sold out his own people. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Because his numbers are great, but they don't impact nothing. So Hitler is one of those people that he sold his soul. And he was a knowledgeable dude, bitter, aloof, and got put into a position. And there are people that are like that. That's what Putin is kind of basing his thing on. It's interesting. They ain't gonna be on 6 man. Ain't gonna be on 6 man. So I've been told. So I've been told. No, LeBron ain't gonna be no 6 man though. But they will be a better team without him though. I'll tell you that. I look forward to seeing what Luca and them decide what the Lakers do when he ain't there. I think LeBron just trying to hang around so his son can get that money. That's what's up. No, because George Blanda played football into his late 40s. Tom Brady played football into his mid to 40s. It's not far fetched that a guy who takes care of his body and gets the right nutrition can play. But the problem is with LeBron James, the stats is good, but he just can't really impose his will. That's the problem. His numbers are legit, but they're not legit enough to win. Nobody wants him because they have to take his son. It's a package deal. And nobody wants the freak show because he's a half-hearted defender and he's got too many whims. The only team that would make sense would probably be Golden State. If he gets traded inside the Western Conference, then I know they don't think he can win. Yeah, well, you saw it happen against the Nuggets. He got stopped at the desk. You know, body's giving him too much wear and tear. Kareem played his position and he stayed in his lane. He did what he was supposed to do and he could do it. But he also played because he was trying to get his jazz collection back. You know, his house caught on fire and he lost his jazz collection. He played another 2 or 3 years to get some more revenue. That's what was up. And he could play at a high level. But that was part of the reason why he played. LeBron to me is playing because he don't want to be forgotten. You didn't hear that. It's the facts because they were young. They were tuned out to him. When he would have the morning breakfast shoot around, Richard Hamilton wasn't prepared. Then he went and got Stackhouse. He was trying to build a North Carolina clubhouse. It was embarrassing. Yeah, he had some moments where he looked like his old self. Then he had some moments where he looked like somebody's grandpa that hadn't played in 20 years. Yeah, it was mid. And then he had to get on the exercise bike. It wasn't a good experience. And he had part ownership of the team. And when he had to give that up, he got fired. And Abe Poland couldn't wait to fire him because they didn't forget the 99 strike lockout and Jordan was opposed to it. So he got himself on the wrong side of history when he had some, he got greedy. And he tried to build an hour game clubhouse with the Wizards, bringing Doug Collins, Kwame Brown. The thing was a bad mix. Stackhouse didn't respect him. He didn't have the respect. That's what's up. He was an old man, and his body. He said it himself. He said the mind and the body can't do it. The mind and the body can't do the same, which was a fact. He had some games where he looked great, and then he had some games when he looked like he was past the pull date. And he looked weird in that uniform. He looked like a big older cat. That team wasn't gonna win nothing. He had some moments where he gave you some hype, but it wasn't, that guy wasn't coming back. And he had gotten older. Because Rip Hamilton wasn't the Rip Hamilton he became with the Pistons. That's why. Rip wasn't getting his body in shape, and he wasn't playing like that. They played like a college team. That's enough time. All you got to do is throw a haymaker. Oakandi was just that bad. He was one of the worst draft picks ever. And Kareem was set up in a no-win situation. You'd be surprised how some cats just say, you want this, you get this. No, you want to think that you can because we could sit here and we talk about what we could do. And then when you're older, your body is going against guys who, Magic had no business coaching. It was horrible. No, I don't know. It wasn't. That's not the same situation. LeBron wouldn't retire. Jordan was older. That last run with the Bulls was spent. It took every ounce to get that finals against Utah and to get past the Pacers. There's a big difference. First time he retired, he still had freshness in his tank, and he did come back with that fadeaway shot. That second one was that you could see the horses coming into home. He's coming into the home stretch. There's a big difference. LeBron wasn't going to retire, and LeBron couldn't get come back if he did. I don't think LeBron would have had the same fate as Michael Jordan if he retires twice. Because LeBron doesn't have Michael Jordan's IQ. So, big difference. Big difference. They might, but it's not when you leave, but it'll be with somebody that you didn't see coming. Oh, I'm not going to say never, but they got to have the right coach who understands how to utilize the components. But you burn Brunson out and you burn Cat out. Tibbs just looks like he just, you know, that D'Antoni style again. So I don't feel bad for Knicks fans. They did get fool's goal this year because they shouldn't have beat Boston. But Jalen Brown, Jason Tate. That's why I missed when TSP was here because Tatum up there crying, talking about I don't get no credit. I said, you choked 3 games of 15-point leads. What you want? A candy bar? Y'all sucked. So I ain't got nothing to say about Knicks fans. They'll be pretty good. They got a chance to actually be really good this year because Boston ain't there. We don't know what the pace is going to be like. Um, Brunson is legit. They got Cat. They just need to learn how to play half court basketball. That's all. If they can do that, they could be problematic. They learn how to, make some adjustments. They get outsmarted, and that's the thing. I'm on for about 1.5, 2 more minutes before I go. Y'all can't say I wasn't on the day because y'all see that I done did 2 hours of it. Uh, Laker fans. I said Lakers because they're more delusional. At least Cowboy fans, like they rational, knowing they're not a legit championship team. But Laker fans are delusional, the worst. He ain't coming back. No. Raider fans because of the gear. Bear fans ain't stupid. They know good and well they ain't winning nothing. They just giving you wherever you are, they just talking trash because you around them. They know they're not that good. And the reality is going to hit them a lot sooner because beating Dallas didn't really count. So and you never know. If Rick Carlisle can get them, he got them, he coached them up last year. I'm telling you, you know, don't count out what they got. It's gonna be interesting. And they were good to watch. I really enjoyed that with the way they played. He just never learned how to. Wow. Well, that's Carson Wentz. What you expect? Listen, it tells you how weak both those teams are. That's still a game. Pittsburgh sucks. That's bad. That's how Aaron Rodgers is going out struggling against bums. That's just bad. But hey, Wiseman is a good player, but again, he didn't really, he's more geared towards an other era than he is this era. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna get ready to go. I've been here for 2 hours. That's what the NCAA wants. You be playing Xfinity, Xbox, and that's what they have you doing. Don't believe the hype. But that's what happens in college football. Appreciate everybody. Thank you. Thanks for everybody that showed up. I should be back on Tuesday for show. And let's do it again. Thanks for everybody that showed up. Appreciate the questions, comments. We had some good times here today. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. Also, as I always say, if you want to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, or you want to send a friend request, hit me up. But that way, if you want to make sure you're going to catch me on here, that's one way I would tell you, because that's a good strategy if you can't get your notifications. So it's up to you. I'll leave it in your hands. Appreciate everybody. Eat well, feel well, be well. Till next time, peace.